It is my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Miss Kanani Aton. She is a senior design specialist at Kanani School's Strategies and Innovation Division. Her work was at the Hawaii Island Civil Defense Department, and she is a mother of three young adults. So at this time, it's my pleasure to turn over presentation to Kanani. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Lori. Aloha kakahiaka kako. Aloha, everyone. Yes, I'm so grateful for that introduction, Lori. It was a little bit spotty on the sound, it's understandable because there's noise kind of interfering with everybody's microphone. And we are still admitting people through the lobby of our Microsoft Teams room here. It's wonderful that we can all be together and be safe at the same time and connect on such a soft topic close to my heart. And I invite you into my space. I'm just really grateful for the chance to share with each and every one of you some of the success that we've felt as a family here in our little place here in Hilo. And then some of the hardship that we've had to go through in order to experience the sweetness of our family joy. And so it's kind of like along that cyclical, journey that I'm going to take you. And so I'm going to start sharing screen if that's okay. If you're having a hard time hearing, it might be because somebody has their microphone not muted. If you could please help us, that would really, really help to secure the audio to just one speaker at a time. Okay, and get ready to access the chat because we're going to put some of the handouts as well as give you an opportunity to share some mana'o there as well. So pull up your chat, sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride with me. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I'm hoping that you guys can see that. And basically, I just want to make sure that you're in the right session and that this is exactly where you want to be. And let's begin. So, aloha mai kako. Here we are in this time, grappling with so much. And I'm the mother of three young adult children. One is young as 18, and the oldest as old as 24. And, we're dealing with the tipping point of Mauna Kea as our lahui rose up about a year ago, a little over a year ago here on Mauna Kea. I live about 20 minutes away from that point where the road intersects with science and culture. And we also went up to the Mauna recently to look at a new sky with Neowise Comet there on the right here. And, that even the skies are changing, even the skies are changing. And so we went up to go see this spectacle from Mauna Kea. We also have been talking a lot as a family about, not only these new skies that are actually very ancient, because apparently this comet was seen over 4,000 years ago here. And so it seems new, but it's very old, just like the concept of institutional and social injustice issues like Black Lives Matter and all of the social unrest that's happening. That seems new or a new tipping point, but actually it's old and embedded within our institutions. And then, of course, very novel new virus like coronavirus, COVID-19. And so there's kind of like a really um, connection here in, assuming that we all have, we're all grappling with these things. We're all looking for ways to learn about it. We're also looking for ways to not hurt others and spread it, but also be willing to change your life to go with this change. And so as we grapple with all of this change, I've been checking in a lot with my children and with my ohana, my friends and my mentors. And so I often go to.
Hello, this is Ronnie.
What was that?
Oh,
Somebody had a question or something?
Kanani, it's background noise.
Okay. Thank you. So yeah, if you can mute your microphone, that would be good. Thank you so much. And so oftentimes we come down to, how are you doing? What are some of the things that you're doing that are working for you? And one of the things that I was able to reveal for my own self was how hard I am on me, so that I can serve others that I'm responsible for or obligated to. And what I found for me that's been working lately is a lot of self-care, just a lot of self-care. Just really taking the time to give me some self-care time. If you could spend a little bit of time, thinking about what are some of the things that are working for you or that you're trying out. Maybe you're not sure if it's working right now, or even some things that you're really avoiding because you know that that's not going to help you manage this time well. So yeah, feel free to put some mana'o in the chat, and hopefully, all of us can benefit from some of the things that you're working from and be inspired. And so I often go back to the idea of what do our kupuna say about change on the global scale. And just like how Uncle Pono Shim was sharing that he bought every book by Nana Viri, Change We Must, I somehow weeks ago put this picture into my slide PowerPoint. And I just know that that's what's compelling me, because I also know that kaiki akamakua he hei na ke keiki, that what I'm processing and what I'm feeling and how I'm coping is absorbed by those around me, especially my children. Even though they may be far away hiking in a forest somewhere, they can sense, peace at home as well as unrest. And so for me, I really try to move through that sense that they are absorbing my psyche and where I'm at. And I'm very honest and try to hold myself accountable to that as well. I'm not always successful because, we're human. But this is an olelo no ea that kind of sets the standard for our family practice. And so this is my son and my daughter back when they were toddlers. My son might be 2 or 3 years old and my daughter might be 4 in this picture, and he's whispering into her ear. And this has been the nature of their. Oh, somebody's or there's a dog. Calamai. Please, if you could mute your microphone, that would be so awesome. So he is trying to he's just trying to learn about the world around him, and my daughter has always been one to sort of interpret the world with him, and they're kind of figuring it out together. And so here we are journeying along as they were toddlers, and I often would sit with them before they fell asleep, and we would do affirmations, where I had learned that in high school playing volleyball, but also in college when I was taking a class from Manu Meyer. She taught me the power of visualization and affirmation, and my coach back in high school, he taught me about the very same concepts. And so what I did was I brought it home and started to talk with them about things like, I'm a good reader. We would just have these little cards, little affirmation cards at their bedside. and they were custom fit for their own things that they might, were maybe struggling with or needed to turn the corner around, or even like, I use my words, I try to identify my feelings, or different things, and we would just go through them so that before they fell asleep, there was a powerful, positive, affirmative thought as they drifted off into sleep. And so that was something that we did. And then as the family matured and we grew through different times and all kinds of iterations of change, the affirmation practice kind of faded away. And so what happened was kind of interesting. I shared this graphic with my older children as COVID had started up. And this was back in March of this year. And, I just kind of talked with them about these different zones. And the handout is in your chat. So you can, if you're having a hard time reading on a small screen, you can access the graphic on your chat. But, I moved along this spectrum with them. And we did a lot of this in the fear zone in the beginning. We went through a lot of the learning as the pandemic continued and extended over time and became a protracted event in our life. And then I actually witnessed them going through the growth zone. And what happened was they live in my home in a different part of Hilo because I can't live with college kids. Oh my gosh, it's not a good combo. And so I live up in Kaumana with my partner and my youngest, and then my two college kids with their college friends. They live in their hale down there. And so one night they were having a few, and they started to go back to affirmations because they were talking about how they struggle, with what's going on. And they started to fill a jar in the middle of, they just went in the kitchen, got a mason jar, and started to write their own affirmations. Some of it was just jokes and funny things, but they wanted to start their day. Thank you, Sid, for the timing. And so they wanted to every morning maybe put their, go into the jar and maybe start with a joke or start with an affirmation. And then my daughter called and said, "Hey, Mom, can you put some affirmations in there? Because we need to have your guidance on this again, and we're asking you for help." And so what I did was I shared with them some affirmations that I've been going through that have been helping me grapple. I just wanted them to know that they're deeply and profoundly loved, that you can do this, there's nothing to fear, that Papa Hana Moku, or Mother Earth, is your greatest teacher. My soul is older than this lifetime, and my soul will continue beyond this life. Though I struggle, I know I'm growing. What if the worst thing that ever happened to me turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me? I have everything I need to meet this moment, and I can ask for help too. And these are all coming from, life lessons and mentors, teachers, kupuna, elders that have gifted insight and reflection to me. And so one of them that I wrote was Kupu Kamana'o here at the bottom right of the screen. It was actually just through this process. Kupu Kamana'o Kamana'o Lana. The affirmation grows constructive thought and thoughts that lead to hope. And it's because it's really as hope is an essential element in healthy growth along that spectrum. That spectrum of fear to learning to growth, and in that mindset, moving along that spectrum. And so those are some of the affirmations that lived in the jar back in March, April, May. And then my daughter had called and said, Mom, one of our houseplants is dying, and I don't know what to do. I've tried. And I said, take it outside under the kukui nut tree. It's a maidenhair fern, so it wants only half light, and it wants some cool breeze and some moisture. Let's see how it does. And there, boom, it just started to give little tendrils of green there on the right side of the screen. And she called and she's like, oh my gosh, Mom, it's starting to come back. I'm so happy because it was my favorite houseplant, blah, blah, blah. And then her boyfriend went and got a companion at Home Depot and he planted it right next to the struggling one. And I thought, that is just so brilliant that they're finding their way through following their heart and starting to open up their heart space. And just, anyone knows that if you have someone struggling in health and wellness, whether it's mental health or physical health, it helps to be with those that are robust and thriving and have a little bit of resilience to share. And so this is what I saw as the beginnings of the manifestation of the power of those affirmations in their lives. Though I struggle, I know I'm growing. And then pretty soon they started to think about a little bit more, like they started to move out of the isolated space within the small hale, and they started to go out into the yard. And then they started making, thinking about, oh, we can do some sweet potato. That's okay, even though we have, the scare of rat lung. That's another challenge of this time with the slugs, etc. But yeah, we can cook sweet potato and not have to grapple with that issue. And my daughter was working with the Alala Bird Project up in a very ancient forest here in East Hawaii. And they would crack eggs for the birds as they fed the birds in their transition into the wild. And so she would bring home whatever she had, eggshells, and she would start to supplement the soil there. And now we've got so much sweet potato. And so what they found was that they actually have everything they need to meet this moment of isolation and quarantine or, social distancing, but in their little circle, with their young, youthful 20-year-old strength, they can go out and start stuff. And then my daughter, as she was on the left, there's a maile plant there. You see the maiden hair here starting to thrive even more. Well, in the forest, when she goes to go work with the alala, she found a trampled maile. And she decided, you know what, I'm going to see if the maile wants to go under the kukui nut tree too. So she brought the maile over. She brought some pala'a and palapalai that was kind of struggling. And all of a sudden, she was starting this native garden. And she wasn't able to dance Merry Monarch. She was really sad about that. And because she's done Merry Monarch for over 7 years, and it was a really big change to not have hula every week and stuff like that. But boom, she's starting to grow like almost a hula garden, where even though she's off of the actual art and performance of hula, she can actually build resilience around a hula garden and have access to these plants that she needs to do her practice. Then they were inspired by the right side of the slide here to try and grapple with rat lung again by growing some hydroponic lettuce. And they thought about the design, and they did, fertilized water that's for hydroponics. And they grew a bunch of lettuce, just trying out their ideas together. And pretty soon I'm starting to hear them more getting along, more joyful, more peaceful, more communicative, whereas in the beginning of the year, oh my gosh, it was so hard to manage all of the strain in their relationship. And so I was getting really grateful. So these are some of the, this is the, okay, Kanaka Makua'au, I'm a servant leader. So starting to serve and rehabilitate and heal relationships, not only with the plants and their regular activities that were morphing as a result of all of this change, but also finding ways to serve each other and be more peaceful. Another one, Papahanma Moku is my greatest teacher, or Mother Earth is my greatest teacher. I see that as now when they have remote work on some of the days of their work, they're out in the yard, they're enjoying, they're looking at their accomplishment, they're feeling a sense of deeper connection with their place in their safe bubble, and yet at the same time watching themselves grow. And so really, truly, just by turning their hands to the soil, they themselves start to grow much like their companion plants all around them. And so this is them today. This is the affirmation at the end of a lot of hula, traditional hula. You'll hear them say, Ewe, which means to activate or to get lively. to do this, to get down and do it. And so what they're starting to realize is that, oh my goodness, I can do this. This is her in my daughter in a former year of on stage with all of the kinds of ferns that she's planted. This is my son um, journeying, thinking he was going to go into ocean maritime work. And then this was early on this year, January, but after COVID hit, he couldn't do that anymore. And then this is her companion, Kapena, who had all the muscle and heft to help manifest and make those things happen. So proud of them. That, and I just want you to also know that, the affirmation jar also moves in cyclical relation to everyone, meaning, I probably can't even find the affirmation jar that was actually in the house at this point. It's just that it was the right medicine, the right therapeutic moment for them that they had custom fit and found exactly worked for them while they were having a few beers. You know what I'm saying? And so letting them be who they are. It turned out that Kapena was the one who loved the affirmation jar the most, because I guess it was a new practice for him, and he enjoyed it a lot. And so now what I did was I made a new one just recently, and usually it wasn't all fancy. The one that was in the house, it didn't even have a cover. But for the purposes of this presentation and for me sharing it now with my 18-year-old here at the hale that I live in Kaumana, I decided to make one for her as she goes through her online college schooling for the first time. And so all of that, manifesting as the power of positive words and thought. And I just really wanted to drive this essential message that together these family traditions really can help us if we revitalize and bring back some of our best practices that worked when they were really small. And actually, I want to move a little bit differently now, away from the family learning, but more into our traditions. That actually affirmations are truly an ancient tradition. This is my friend's auntie from Miloli'i. Her aumakua is the mano, and it's such a powerful relational statement of affirmation of who she is in her ancient tradition and ways of aumakua, or your family ancestors in our native animal world. And so there's a chant that is called Na Aumakua, and that chant will be made available in the chat for you. And that chant comes from David Malo, Hawaiian Antiquities, adapted Hawaiian Antiquities, and it speaks and addresses ancestors and talks about the wholeness of who you are and where you come from as the manifestation in the flesh of your ancestors, literally the blood and the DNA flowing. And so in this chant, you hear the tradition of affirmations coming through. In the light blue, they're saying, Eya kapula pula o ko o Kanani. You put your name in that line. Here is your offspring, Kanani. Care for me, flourish, help me flourish above. Help me flourish here on earth, and help me flourish throughout this whole chain of Hawaii. Grant me knowledge, grant me strength, grant intelligence, true understanding, intuition, and mana. And so if you look at a lot of the old chants, you will find affirmative speech. You will find these kinds of words, and that's part of our brilliance. That's part of who we are. And it's very familiar. Just like Uncle Pono Shim said, these are things that you already know. These are things that when you hear them again, it resonates strongly in the pahu, or the drum of your chest. And here's another example of our more modern day affirmation. Taking Proverbs 16:24 right here. It's about pleasant words. Well, what our kupuna did was actually craft a song around what it means to have the value of affirmation or or pleasant words. And I wanted to share with you the words and the keys in case you want to follow along. It's in the chat. I'm hoping that Laurie and Sid are able to put these links there. And let's sing the song together. Would that be okay? Basically, okahale, okamea pono, the hale or the home is the main thing. It's so true value. It's very valuable and very precious. But in the home, you've got to be careful because, the treasure of those relationships cannot bear too much of, strain and burdensome relationship. It's okay to have that, but also make sure you're balancing that with true effort of pleasant words as well, and working through what we're struggling with through honest, authentic, custom fit solutions that feel right for each person. And also when they talk about pohaku vai vai like, those stones are so important. That's the foundational values or the foundation of the home, the stones. That's also, those affirmation words are part of that foundation. And that to be very careful as you use your words. And then here it is. Pleasant words are like a honeycomb. He mea ono na olelo olu olu. He ono ika uhane, sweet to the soul. A he ola ika iwi. And health to the bones. So I wanted to sing this song. My friend, my beloved, beloved friend, Ipotorio, who's listening in all the way from Kauai. Woo! I just want to share my love for her. And in sharing this song with me over 25 years ago in the hot ponds of Kapoho. We're holding hands at dusk and the sky is almost purple and the stars are starting to twinkle, and she's teaching me this song, Pleasant Words. It hit me and resonated so well that I've never forgotten it. And I want to share it with you now. So, okay, so, o kahale, o ka mea pono, he vai, vai no, he vai, vai no, a ka, a ole mauna i ka, vai, vai. Come on, sing along. He po haku, vai, vai, like, like, he vai, vai no, he vai, vai no, ana, a ole mauna i ka vai, vai. He mea ono, na olelo olu olu. He ono i tauhane, a he ola i ka iwi. Pleasant words are like a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and health to the bone. Shall we sing it again? All right, let's go for it. Let me fix this. I just changed the strings on this. My beloved Kane, he just changed the strings on this bugger, so they're still stretching. Oh, that's much better. O kahale, o ka mea pono, he vai, vai no, he vai, vai no, ana, a ole mauna i ka vai, vai. He po haku, he po haku, vai, vai, like, like, he vai, vai no, he vai, vai no, thank you so much, Ipo, for teaching me that song 25 years ago in a hot pond that is no longer there and now transformed as Kapoho Bay. And so just like how Kapoho Bay is no longer available to us and was, it seemed like an endless, very precious, rich resource of rejuvenation and recreation, just like that, the treasure of the hale, the treasure of the ohana, the relationships under the roof, the foundational stones of aloha and pleasant words, they're just as fleeting and effervescent. And so we have to remember that, or I just share with you and I encourage and I want you to know that for my little family, Affirmations has helped us succeed. And at this time, my daughter is now in her dream job. She works now for natural area reserves, and she's camping somewhere deep in the forests of Mauna Kea and building fence and doing amazing things, protecting our precious resource. My son is now working not at a seaport but at an airport, and he's working, with cargo, and he's got a lot of room for growth in this job. So really happy for him. He bought a car on Monday of this week, a used car, but it's wheels, and he's feeling a strong sense of accomplishment and success. And then my baby, my youngest, she's going for becoming a pilot at UH Hilo in the new aeronautical sciences program. And so I just want you to know that we struggle and we fight and we try to figure things out. And at the same time, we lean back on the things that were taught to us by our elders, our mentors, our coaches, who believed in us when we didn't believe in ourselves. One of those things is the power of affirmations, and I'm just so grateful for the chance to share with you a little bit of our story here of the affirmation jar that sparks so much inspiration and so much hope in a time of so much change. So the last slide, we're hoping that, Sid and Lori, you guys might be able to moderate a little bit of discussion. We have about, let's see, it's 10:35, and we have about 15 minutes of time to sort of talk story and step out of presentation mode. And if you can just kind of reflect a little bit, and share a little bit of your mana'o and where this, how this has impacted or inspired you or sparked a little bit of thought. Let's do some question and answer. Let's do some talk story. Did I stop sharing? Let me stop sharing. Here we are.
Kanani, you're gonna love for me.
What was that, Sid? Sorry, I can't hear you.
You're gonna love, and we'll get to them as they come up. The first question though is, can you share an audio file of singing
Of the song?
the song itself?
Oh, cool. I've never done that. I see somebody's like, okay. It's just me in my makeshift office here in the corner of my hale, but with a small little, probably the microphone of the laptop. But okay, yeah. I mean, I want to share this song. There's supposed to be one more verse that I keep calling Ipo about over the years. I'm like, Ipo, what was that last verse? And how can we credit the right person who wrote this song? And it just seems to be sort of, a traditional hymn. Kauai and Ni'ihau are known for their beautiful himeni and their church hymns. And so it remains a mystery to me. But yeah, I would love to share with you what I know. Just know that there are so many awesome people on Kauai that absolutely love and perform this song. Way better. Thanks, Sid.
You're also, no worries. Good job, Kanani. You're also getting comments about um, how much of an inspiration you've been for this talk, and they're going to use it with their own families. And also the idea of just sharing your picture of the affirmation jar too. So, and then some sample affirmations so they have things to go on as they create their own.
Yes, in fact, I can share. So this one is one of the for my daughter's jar. I am a servant leader. And some of it is just so that we can kind of spark conversation together, like, Mom, what do you mean by that? Of all my children, my youngest one is the least talkative. When she speaks, there's like a lot of jam-packed meaning in her words. Like exactly where she's at when she says what she needs to say. The other ones are very flowery, just like their mom. But so we'll see what comes as a result of this gift that I'm going to give to her. And I'm just thinking about her. I have everything I need to meet this moment. I can ask for help too. Just little invitations of safety. It doesn't take much to unfold a little piece of paper. There's not any expectation or requirement, or you don't have to do it a certain way. It's just a little gift that you get to open, in your time of seeking what you need. And so I just happen to have, these things that were little stickers that I found last night. And so that's what I did was I just put the stickers on the jar. Little bit of recycled ribbon from a gift that was given a long time ago. That's all, just little things that I had here in the house. A friend of mine had painted a little heart, so I decided to put it in the jar. What else, Sid?
So one comment about the power that transformation can occur at all ages. It's pretty powerful. Like it's never too late to transform or to remember what helps us transform.
Yes. I was thinking about one of the affirmations from when my daughter was going through some severe back pain as a result of injury in a car accident, in a minor car accident. And we just started to make her own cards. Like my back is strong. My back is healing. My back knows what needs to be done to come back to full wellness. We just thought about, how do we assure that what's happening is going to be okay. And just like how you can actually talk to others and affirm their wellness and their ability to recover, you can actually address those cells in your body. You can talk to your body. You can affirm your own resiliency and talk to your own health and wellness. Talk yourself to that place.
When you were speaking earlier about self-care, you had all kinds of comments about how the audience is participating in their own self-care, ranging from hip-hop dance to yoga to a lot of ocean therapy, singing, pule, gardening. So I think everyone's really resonating with your examples of self-care and the importance of it.
So I was talking to my mom yesterday, and I want to add on to that mana'o about self-care. And we were going back in time about how hard we as a family, my mom, my dad, myself, my sisters, were kind of hard on our body because we were raised in sort of like a gym mindset, like athletic, and running and jogging and marathons and all kinds of stuff. And so what I've learned through restorative yoga and yin yoga, which is actually a softer kind of yoga, there's so much health and wellness in the exhale. We oftentimes, like, we're usually breathing in to make ready for execution of strength and strengthening, our health and wellness. But actually, in restorative yin, or the softer side of things, you can also find a lot of health and wellness just in that releasing, and to let yourself relax, and to rest in a perfect stretching mode. And you can find the restorative yoga online. You can find yin yoga, you know, and stuff like that, and to give yourself, you know, to break out of that mindset that I've got to submit my body to perform what I need my body to look like, or what I need my body to be strong like, or the level of strength that it needs to be. But also to just let your body breathe and let your body be, because your body is brilliant in its restorative mode as well. It's restoration, it's recreation, it's rejuvenation mode that is so important, and there's so much wellness in the exhale.
Awesome, Kanani. You have about 6 more minutes, and just two more thoughts. One is that relationships cannot take too much strain, so they appreciated you mentioning that. And then the second one was this can be used for students in school and higher education, so elementary all the way up through college.
Yeah, last night I was going through my Gmail inbox, and I was all the way back in, like, oh gosh, 2006 email, where I was emailing some of the affirmations to my friends who had young toddler children as well, or young children in elementary, primary school. And they were just the cutest little affirmations. I should have saved it so that we could talk about them today, but they were just, oh, so much, so simple, you know, so simple. Just, you know, I use my words. I listen. I think about, or, you know, I think about my feelings. What am I feeling? Or things like that. Just really simple. I need to go dig up those old ones. And it was about play. I'm a playful, I enjoy my playful spirit, things like that. And then what was the other one, Sid?
The other one was it can be used for students all the way through higher education. The
Oh
things
yeah,
you
I mean, even me, like when I was working at civil defense, and it was crazy, and like, um, you know, all the scientific authoritative um, assessment of a hurricane, and then sort of winnowing it down to a short, you know, text message of emergency alert to 30,000 cell phones. I mean, I had to write my own affirmations at the top of my notebook, like, you know, Kanani, you got this. You're, you know, you have the succinct word ready, at the ready, you know. Um, your your ancestors, your father is an emergency responder, and you can rely on his wisdom if you need to call him. Like, I would write my own affirmations, you know. Um, and so for me, it really resonated well when it was taught to me by my volleyball coach back in high school. His name was Rudy Sambrano. He was a volleyball coach that only had one of his he had full hand on the left hand, but on the right hand he had very small fingers. He was born like that, and he only had his thumb. But he was an amazing setter, amazing setter. He was the head coach of Ku'uipo volleyball team on Oahu.
Thank you, Kanani. Everyone is just so grateful for your talk today and sharing so much love with you. And thank you for the love that you shared with everyone. So we just have a